In this video we will look at if statements in Python. An if statement executes particular code if certain conditions are true. It is sometimes called selection because it selects which code to run based on the values of variables in the code. As an example, let's imagine a simple program to run a kiosk at a fairground ride, which checks if you are tall enough to use the ride. Here is a starting point. We'll go through line by line. The first line uses the input function to ask how tall you are in meters and stores your answer in a variable called response. Input returns a string value, but we really need to know the height as a number, so we use the float function, which takes a string and converts it to a floating point number. Then we print out the user's height and a goodbye message. Obviously this isn't quite right. We ask the person's height, but the code always prints the same message. We want to print a different message depending on the height. Here's some extra code marked in green. This is an if statement. The first thing the code does is check the height value to see if it's less than 1.2 meters. The next two lines, which are indented, form the body of the if statement. They will only be run if the condition is true, that is, if the height is less than 1.2. Finally, the last line, which prints goodbye, isn't indented. It isn't part of the if statement, and it will always be executed whatever the value of height. Another way to look at this is as a simple flowchart. Here it is. The flow doesn't include every single line of code, just the main stages. First we ask the user's height. Next we check the height value. The triangle is a flowchart decision block. The flow will follow one of two paths after this block. Suppose the height is less than 1.2. The program continues down and prints the bad news that you can't use the ride. It then says goodbye. Now suppose the height is not less than 1.2. The flow branches to the right and bypasses the message telling the user they cannot ride. It still prints the goodbye message. Now we will take a look at the if statement in more detail. An if statement always has a condition. In this case the condition is that the height is less than 1.2. Notice that the if statement always ends in a colon character. This introduces the body of the if statement. The body is the section of code which is included within the if statement. The code in the body only runs if the condition is true, in this case if the height is less than 1.2. One thing you will notice about the if statement body is that it is indented. That is, there are spaces before each line of code. You should use 4 spaces. It is important that each line of the body code is indented by the same number of spaces. At the end of the if block, the code is no longer indented. This is how Python knows it has reached the end of the block. This code always runs under all conditions. The less than symbol is a comparison operator. The result is either true or false. There are 6 comparison operators in Python. As well as less than, we also have the greater than operator. This will be true only if a was greater than 10. The equals operator is true only if the two values are exactly equal, in this case if a was equal to 10. Notice that we use a double equals sign. If we use a single equals it would be confusing. It looks like we are setting a equal to 10. We also have a less than or equals operator, which is true if a is either less than or equal to 10. The greater than or equal to operator is true if a is greater than or equal to 10. The not equal operator is an exclamation mark and an equals sign. It is true if a is not equal to 10.